How do you feel about everything today? How do you think we're doing so far? Do you get the sense we're heading in the right direction? We've got a train prepared for you if you want to leave. It'll take you straight to Freedom Land. We don't know exactly where that is, but we're going there now. Get your tickets and get aboard. You gotta get aboard. Get aboard. You gotta get aboard. Let's just take a minute and praise our leaders for their marvelous job. We simply cannot thank them enough. It's not about wealth or power for them. It's about pure love for humanity.
In all, 130 drivers were arrested.
The governor's office says all were undocumented.
My message, it's very simple. Get into compliance now.
All states must immediately pause giving out non-domicile commercial driver's licenses.
Only green card holders and U.S. citizens can get their commercial driver's license renewed.
Right now, there's a temporary pause on issuing and renewing limited-term commercial driver's licenses across the country.
And as we pull more money, we also have the option of pulling California's ability to issue commercial driver's licenses.
Okay, we're going to kill them.
He will kill you.
What's going on, everybody? What's happening? Welcome back to the bullshit. I hope y'all are doing well out there on this day. Doing all right. I've been on the road for a month, man. We've been doing some running, but we're making some money. That's good. So let's talk about the stuff, man. There's a lot of stuff going down, man. Finally, I am seeing like a glimmer of hope out here. I'm not expecting anything, too amazing. But if y'all remember, I don't know, last year about this time, I came off the road and I said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done. I've been out here 18 years. They get foreigners and all these crooked companies and the brokers and just all the nonsense can have this industry. I was going to go local, right? Because I went and did those 2 local jobs. But I was going to figure something else out, right? And I always like OTR. Especially now that I'm just a lonely ass old man. My children are all grown and my wife runned off. I get it. When I was younger, I didn't like OTR as much as I do now because I wanted to be home with my wife and kids. But I like this lifestyle, believe it or not, as screwed up as it is. Even like yesterday, I was in New Orleans and I got hung up down in there. Boy, the shit we go through as truckers sometimes, huh? People think it's easy. I got some miles under my belt and I was getting a little stressed out. I had to slide my tandems forward just to make the corners and stuff. But, I'm just seeing this stuff go down. And I'm already seeing some changes. You know what I mean? You got your basic changes, right? Like foot washing in the sink in the truck stops. That's got to be down at least 60%, And I'm seeing this with my own eyes out here. So if you're in the stock market type stuff, I wouldn't be investing in flip-flops right now because you ain't going to do too good with that one. But, the ICE stuff going on in the truck stops and shit. Obviously there's YouTube videos out there, so videos are videos, right? They're not AI, but I'm seeing it too. You can see right here in this clip right here, this is just one little caravan that I saw yesterday of ICE agents riding down the highway heading somewhere to do some shit, right? So you got all that kinds of stuff going on. And I was thinking, because earlier I saw this foreigner, he was wearing some Caterpillar work boots, right? Had the old do-rag towel majigger on his head and everything, but he was wearing some Caterpillar work boots. And I was like, damn, they finally figuring out that we're picking on them, right? But it's kind of funny. You ever put those little booties on your dog? My ex-wife did that once, thought the dog's feet was cold in the winter or something, so she put these little booties, and the dog was like walking around all weird because he couldn't feel where his feet were, right? Watch the foreigners, they don't know how to walk in those kinds of foot apparel, right? Which is funny because us Americans, my beer drinking buddies, right? They can wear work boots and go to work. They can also get trashed and just wear pair of swim trunks and a pair of flip-flops, and they can run in their flip-flops and shit, man. But I'm seeing all that. I mean, we got the basic stuff, right? We got the no more non-domicile CDLs, which is kind of a big thing. It's going to take time. You know, everyone's expecting it to go down like right away. All this is going to take time. And as a matter of fact, I would imagine that the government and the powers to be, you know, the big shippers and brokers and carriers and all that, you know, the people who run our lives, they don't want it to all go down at once, because it would be kind of a shit show. Admit it. You know what I mean? We need like a happy point where rates go back up and drivers are staying busy, and, you know, we can go back to buying our houses and RVs and quads and Harleys and shit, and being paid what we deserve to be paid to be out here. Now, myself, at this particular moment in time, which has not been like this, because the last 3 years I've been whoring around doing just bullshit trucking companies, right? And who knows how long this will last, right? Bottom can always fall out. These trucking companies keep closing up left and right. I'm actually getting paid for what I feel like I'm doing. You know what I mean? So I'm very thankful for that, because as you all know who have followed me, is I've done some real fucking junk over the last few years, right? Am I making 120 grand a year, 100 grand a year like I was? No, I'm probably doing like 90. I don't know. I haven't done the numbers yet. But it's going to take a little time for all this to go through. So you're going to have the non-domiciles that are still valid. But once they expire, they're not going to be able to renew them, right? And they're not coming in anymore. And those non-domiciles were never intended for foreign nationals, you know? Those were intended for U.S. citizens. For, like, let's say you go down to Tennessee and do truck driving school in Tennessee at Covenant or U.S. Express or something, right? So you're going to get your CDL down there. But let's say you live in Michigan, right? It was made for that. You see what I'm saying? Because I got friends, you know, right? Y'all know people. They got driver's licenses that are in other states, but they live and work in another state. That's what the non-domicile was originally for. But it's a loophole. You give anyone a loophole, even myself a little bit, come on. We take advantage of that stuff, right? So that went crazy. But the biggest part with that one is the EADs, the employment authorization documents, I think they're called. You were able to get CDL on an EAD. I mean, basically, you're basically just able to pay money and go on a Facebook fucking, you know, group and get a CDL for $150 is what we're all seeing, without even taking the tests and stuff. But that was kind of a big thing. Well, they ain't doing the EADs no more either. So, which means they can't do the foreign truck driving mills, where they just bring a foreigner over here, take advantage of them. Foreigner crashes out or whatever happens, and then they just got another one waiting in their bullshit truck driving school to send them back out. Because a lot of times, you know, it ain't the foreigners really their fault. It's just the company's taking advantage, you know, and using them up, right? And they don't know any better. And on that, I was thinking the other day as I was watching this, I had to go back, get a guy's truck out for him. He got his truck all fucked up trying to back in a flatbed. And I waited and waited and waited and waited. And then he got to the point where he was getting it stuck. You know what I mean? Now, one thing to remember, drivers, if it went in, it will come out. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as getting them stuck. But if you don't know what you're doing, you can get them stuck. So I walked over there to try to spot him, and he got out of the truck and just said, "Hey, man, will you get it out for me?" Which I had no problem doing because I wanted to get going. But it is kind of a thing, man. It's kind of a shameful thing to let another driver drive your truck. I will say, when I was in my early 20s, they sent me out to Boston in this big-ass long nose, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I had to let a guy back it in the dock for me out there. So, you know, I get it, right? But when I was watching that, you know, because he'd only been driving for like 6 months or something, I was like, ooh, I don't know. You know what I mean? What do you guys think? I'm a little torn on this. You're pulling foreigners off the road. They've been out here 8 years, 10 years or whatever, right? And then that guy's only been out here 6 months. I would probably trust the foreigner better. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. I mean, I'm down with the whole America shit, but just saying. So what else we got? We got the ELP, the English language proficiency. We all know about that. That's putting a little dent in stuff. You know, people are enforcing that as well. That's going to take time. No more H-1B. No more H-2A visas at all at this point in time. Now all this stuff is gonna have to get like put into law, because, you know, right now these are just only declarations or whatnot. So the next administration could just turn around and reverse all this shit, and we go right back to the same nonsense. Now myself, what I'm planning on doing. And before I say this, I want you to know I'm not like a huge Trumpy. You know what I mean? I got parts about him I like. I got parts I don't like. I'm not a very political person at all. Probably more than I've ever been lately. Part of that has to do with old age and, you know, less partying. And I'm a little worried about retirement and stuff like that, right? So I'm watching shit a little bit more than what I used to. My thing right now is that Trump's going to be in there for like 3 more years, so we know all this shit's going to keep hammering for the next 3 years, right? Unless someone kills him or something happens. People said they're going to impeach him. Yeah, right. They never impeach anybody. But I'm going to get my shit together between now and then. So if we go into a shitty administration, a fucking Obama or Biden administration again, and all goes to hell, at least by then I'll have my money backed up so I can like go drive a log truck or something, right? Which is my end goal here. Something like that. But we got all that crap going down, even though, like, some of the bad actors out there, the shitty companies, they're still trying their nonsense, man. Because you go around the Chicago, because I'm in Michigan, right? So when I punch jobs up, Chicago is close. The jobs come up. I always know, don't go to a Chicago company, which is fucked up because their ads look good. Like, oh, a new truck APU with 78 cents a mile. I'm like, ooh, that looks good. Then I call and they're like, I'm like, ooh, no, we ain't doing that. So I see these ads over there, right, that are running right now for box trucks under 26,000 pounds, no English, no CDL, no nothing needed for it, right? Come on, man, just always trying to not do it. You just can't do it right, can you? Because you can't hang. That's why they can't do it, because they can't hang. But that ain't gonna work, dude. How many box trucks would it take to haul a load that a 53-foot trailer takes? Like 3? So we can call the broker, and the broker's like, well, you got a 53 dry or 53 reefer? Oh, I got 3 box trucks and 3 drivers. And would that be economically viable? 3 drivers, all the fuel, like, come on. No shipper wants their load on 3 box trucks. And no, you know, real shipper that's out there. Maybe some little small bullshit. But it's not going to be a huge thing. Either way, the foreign companies like that, some of the foreign companies are legit, by the way, but they're fucked anyway because they got so much overhead with the equipment and all that. All companies do. And now they can't get the drivers. I'm not going to do it. You gonna go do it? I'm not going to do it. They work for them motherfuckers. So they're going to run into that same damn problem. You know, they're going to be out. But also the DOT is now able to ask about your immigration status at the scales and during inspections and stuff. In the past, they weren't really allowed to do that, right? You got the broker transparency deal going down where, you know, they're supposedly going to watch them a little bit better as far as fucking around on the rates. Because that's, like, probably a bigger problem than the foreigners, really. Is the brokers, you know, trying to make too much money off these loads. Not all of them. Some of them are good, but it does happen a lot. I don't even understand the whole broker thing. I think it should all just go on a load board. You know what I mean? The shippers should just go to the load board, put their load up. All the trucks, like, you got to be vetted at a certain level to be able to be a carrier on that load board. And then you just click on it and accept it, right? We're in that technology. You can get pizzas and dildos and t-shirts and all kinds of shit just by some clicks. You can get a whore, whatever you want. You can get someone to kill your wife or husband right on the internet, man. So why we got brokers? What's going on with that whole deal? You got the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Lease Task Force, right? Because we know that the lease purchase shit has all been garbage. I can't believe even people in my circle are still talking like about going to Super Ego or Prime, and Prime's probably the least of the evils. What's that one? Hurricane? Really? I mean, you don't know about Super Eagle, man? What, you don't have the internet or what? And then Hurricane? I thought about that too. I drove past their place once and I was like, oh damn, look at those trucks. Those are nice. I look good in one of them, right? I looked into it. Yeah, I'll pretty much be paying them to drive their truck. That's how they lure you in with the nonsense. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the DOT, whatnot, they're actually shutting trucking companies down again and truck driving schools. Man, back when I first started driving truck, if you're an older fella like me or an older lady like me, it used to be really strict, man. Like the speed limit in Illinois was 55, Ohio was like 55. If you're doing like 59, you got a damn ticket, dude. Like you didn't bypass no scales. They would chase your shit down. Like this, it was too extreme. but they're actually shutting companies down, you know, like they used to, for bad safety scores and shit like that. You got the nuclear verdicts, right? That deters all companies from just saying, like, who cares? We don't gotta pay Dustin. You know, yeah, Dustin's got 2 million miles. He's been out here 18 years. Obviously, I'm going to be better at this job than someone who's been out here a year or two, right? I would hope, you know. But I've always ran into that. When I first started driving truck, man, you couldn't even get a job unless you had 2 years of experience. I had to go work for a bullshit company and get taken advantage of just to get my time in out here. And I already had my CDL and shit, right? And then now they would rather, because I couldn't understand that for years. I would get passed up on these jobs. And this was before I was job hopping. You know, I'd be at a job for 5 years. No accidents, no tickets, nothing on my DAT or whatever the hell you call that. You know what I'm talking about. On your bullshit record there, your PSP, all that shit was clean. And I'd go in and they wouldn't hire me. And I was like, what the fuck? I'd be checking all my stuff, right? No, they don't want to pay me 70 cents a mile. They want to pay this person 53 cents a mile. There's a company up there, which I'm not even going to call out because I don't want to go to war with any of these people. But up in Grand Rapids, it's owned by foreigners, and they're all deported. The owners are all deported right now. The company's still running. I called them once years back because, you know, I get around. I'm a whore. It was 48 cents a mile. When I was just coming off a job that I was making 66 cents a mile. 48 cents a mile? We made that shit back a long time ago. What are you even talking about right now? But if you're a SAP driver or you had accidents or whatever, that's where you want to go. And I ain't judging that, you know. Shit happens. People fuck up. You got to do what you got to do. Personally, I would probably just get out of the industry and go find something else to do. But I get it. But I'm not going there. Why the hell would I do that? My shit's still clean. I ain't even crashed yet. You know? So you got that whole deal with the nuclear verdicts, you know, it makes people like me more valuable and people like you more valuable instead of just saying fuck it and paying this cheap guy because now, oh yeah, you saved a few cents a mile over here, but ooh, you just got sued for $130 million, buddy. The brokers and the shippers out there, they're vetting the companies better, right? You know, say the broker gives this load to this foreigner, which they love, right? They love doing that shit because they can make more money, right? You're paying them $2,500 to haul the load. They can get this foreigner to do it for $1,000. They just pocketed $1,500. Well, now they have to watch that a little bit because the load gets hung up because the guy gets busted for a non-domicile, ELP violation, something like that, right? Now they got to go get the load. It looks bad with their customer. They lose rank with their customer, right? The shippers are saying the same thing, like, hey, we want you to vet these companies, which, you know, they got apps and stuff that are going on right now that makes it easier to vet the companies. And, you know, that's just been the foreign company's business model, is just to fucking take advantage of the cheap labor, right? Run the drivers to hell, replace them at your truck driver mill school deals, and then run illegal, right? And the brokers, like I said, they also take advantage of that because you can see on the load boards, if you fuck around and get bored like I do and just play with the load boards, they'll have like 980 mile run loads that deliver the next day. That's a team load, obviously, but you know, you call on it or whatever. From what I'm hearing, I don't call, but like I'm hearing is you call and they'll say, hey, we'll find somebody that will do it. Well, they're running illegal, dude. And then the foreign drivers, you can see them up on YouTube bragging about like how much better they are than American drivers because they'll run like 900 miles a day and we're a bunch of weak fuckers and all that. I got one thing to say to that. Fuck you and enjoy being deported, bitch. You're the ones that need to go because you're fucking stupid, you dumb motherfuckers. I've been in this shit since 2001. I had a house. I had a 40 by 40 garage, a 30-foot camper, a quad, a Harley, a boat, river frontage, vacations. My children either went to college or trade schools. Should I keep fucking going? If you're one of those people that's saying that American drivers are pussies, bitch, you're running 900 miles for what I get paid to run fucking 400 at 70 cents a mile, you stupid fuck. And if you stopped fucking doing that or just went back to your shithole country, then they would have no choice but to pay me 70 cents a mile like they're doing or more, because they won't. See, this company wouldn't hire someone like that because they don't want to get sued. They've been around for 75 fucking years. You think this is the first downturn they ever saw? The first problems they ever ran into? They know how to play the long game. That's why they're running these trucks old. As a matter of fact, I was just on the phone with Sizzle and she just broke down on the road. That sucks here. They're running the trucks out like they normally don't do here. I say old. It depends who you are. This one has 500,000 miles on it, right? I get it. That ain't that old. But this company used to replace them a lot. But I completely understand what they're doing because of competing with bullshit places like that. The DOT is super active lately, right? And that's good and bad. You know, I want to see them get fuckheads like that and get them out of here. But also, man, they've been getting me, dude. And then I'm always getting fucked with all the time. And the scales are always open, man. And I'm like, oh, man, the scale's open. I don't have pre-pass. I don't know why we don't have pre-pass. But they got a good safety score here. But I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's worth it. I want to see them do what they do. But, man, they've been getting me a little bit on stuff. I wouldn't be running dirty right now, you know. In the past 3 years or whatever, the key to surviving this whole deal has obviously been just running cheap, you know, fucking your drivers over any way you can. But right now, running like that isn't going to be the long game key to survival. The key to getting through all this, whether it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, I don't know how long it's going to take, is going to be running clean, running legal. You know what I mean? And then it's all going to wash out in the end of who's left, right? Isn't that how that shit fucking works? On the other side, you got like what? You got the reshoring. You got nearshoring going on again. You know, I saw an article the other day that says Walmart's seeing a huge change in where they're getting their stuff from. And they're getting it from the United States because factories are opening up. I could sit here and list off a ton because I know some people are going to argue with me. But there's a ton. You know, where I live and around, even in this industrial part, there's signs out everywhere that say like $26, $28 an hour, you know, starting and all this kinds of stuff. There's jobs around, you know, life ain't great, inflation's up, shit's expensive, you know, so on and so on, but it's making changes, man. It's slowly making changes, and who better to know than Walmart? But as they bring certain amounts of things back to the United States, that's going to increase the volumes. I think it's going to be like the perfect storm. Eventually, when this all comes to a head, all this together, and then let's say the volumes go up and all that at the same time, it could turn into an actual driver shortage, right? Not the bullshit narrative that we've had for years so that these 1% and nasty, dirty, rotten, rich people knew there was no truck driver shortage. The ATA and those guys, don't ever listen to them. Those trucking associations are so full of shit. They're right in the rich people's pockets. They are them. If it became the perfect storm where there was an actual shortage of truck drivers a little bit, that's what we want, brothers and sisters. Because then they got to pay us and they got to give us new equipment. And if, you know, you fuck up, they don't care. You know, oh yeah, I crashed up that trailer. No big deal. Can you make your load? You know, because, you know, you see what I'm saying? It ain't like the bullshit. You don't like a driver-facing camera? Fuck it. You ain't taking that job. They'll get rid of driver-facing cameras. That's how it used to be. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's going to take time. It'll never be perfect. We've always had issues. And even on that same note, you know, like the mega carriers back in the day were a huge problem, as I always say. Trying to run everything down with this whole deal. Like in the late 80s, early 90s, right? If you're old enough to remember, back when Schneider had cab over still and shit. When US Express was switching to conventional, even though they were saying that US Express couldn't use conventionals with the 53, because we didn't have 53-foot trailers if you're a youngster. We had 48-foot trailers. They had just started coming out with 53-footers. Which I'm not going to be surprised pretty soon if they don't have 58-footers, you know, because you can make a couple more pallets so we can make more money. Don't worry about that driver trying to turn that corner or anything. But anyway, US Express just went ahead and did it. And I'm not saying that US Express is good. I probably wouldn't work there either. You know, I don't know much about them. But they went ahead and ran the conventionals. And they were saying you couldn't. Well, they did. I remember the time period, and it was legal because at that point, they had changed it from being the overall length of the truck to just being the length of your trailer, right? Now, I will say back then, running a 53 with a long nose, the corners weren't cut like they are in most places nowadays, and go out east and all that. And then, like, you know how we have like these warehouse places, like in Chicago, right? You're not really down in Chicago a whole lot anymore. We used to go like right down into Chicago because there'd be like some shitty little warehouses down there. A lot of it moved out to like Aurora and all that, and they're nice. They're actually easy places to go with the big warehousing and stuff. So yeah, it was kind of a fucker back then, if I'm being honest about it. I like these little cut up trucks, these little plastic ones. They're maneuverable. Like I said yesterday in New Orleans, I had to slide my tandems just to make the corners. So if I'd have been in a long nose, man, I wouldn't have made that shit, dude. And I don't need all that. And I got all this space in here, you know. I don't look as cool, but hey, I'm 50. I ain't cool anymore anyway. But I don't know if I finished saying that. In the 80s and 90s, Schneider did this deal. And at that point, the average rate was like $1.30 a mile or something like that. Just trying to remember back then. Somewhere around there. So Schneider did this deal of we'll haul anything anywhere for 80 cents a mile, right? And they were figuring they're going to dominate the market. Well, that caused a whole bunch of problems, obviously. Like the same as, that's what I'm saying, is the same as the foreigner thing. Because other companies are like, well, we can't run for fucking 80 cents a mile. Well, that was Schneider's whole point, right? To try to run people out. I think Swift was doing that a few years back, like just hauling shit for like break even just to try to run the other companies out or something. But it didn't work, because at the end of the day, as I always say, those mega carriers, they can get as much freight as they want. They can buy as many trucks as they want. They can't get the drivers, man. They only get a certain amount that are willing to work for mega carriers, or a lot of new hires that they train, and then as soon as those people get any time in, they move out and go to a smaller company. Which I don't mean 5 trucks or even 40 trucks. Sometimes it's 300 trucks, sometimes it's 500 trucks. But thousands of trucks? I don't know, man. I've never done it. The biggest company I ever worked for had 300, I think. So yeah, with that said, I don't know. That's my thoughts on all that shit. I am going to wait here to get loaded. And as always, I appreciate y'all watching. I just wanted to get a video out there so y'all knew I was still alive. Didn't want anyone worrying about me. I appreciate you guys. It does get a little bit lonely out here, though. I was feeling sorry for myself the other day. I was sitting in the bunk at the rest area, and I'm like, man, this sucks. I could be doing better things. I could have a girlfriend, which actually, I think I'm going to start ragging on women on my YouTube channel, because some of them are just fucking disgusting whores that just want money. So I pretty much stay away from them. But I was sitting there feeling sorry for myself, and then I started thinking about like my neighbor, right? My neighbor did a tour in Iraq and then a tour in Afghanistan, but he was like in the outposts of Afghanistan and shit, where it was dangerous and all this. Anyway, a lot of those guys, like my friend Mike and shit, they don't really talk about the war, but if you get them drunk, they will. No, I don't ask them. I don't say, like, hey, man, you ever killed anybody? Not like that. Just get them drunk, and they'll start talking about it. And then it's telling me stories, you know, about, like, being out there, like, 2 months with no shower in these outposts, man, or longer, because they couldn't go back to, like, a forward or whatever, a different base that had showers. So they'd be able to bottle water and stuff, trying to wash up and all that, and sleeping in shipping containers, going out on these bullshit missions and stuff that were unnecessary. Just a lot of crap going on with that whole deal, right? And I think to myself, like, you're gonna be fine, Dustin, in your goddamn Freightliner with your Hulu and Netflix and your microwave and refrigerator full of food, and, you know, I had truck stop shower this morning and all that stuff. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna make it, Big Daddy. But on that note, we'll keep trucking it, because that's what we do. I think things are gonna get better, my friends. I do think they are. Like I said, they're not gonna be great. This is trucking. It's never gonna be great.
How's it going with your weary minds, by the way? We've got a cure coming up for you. In our new world, you'll get to consume endlessly, and everybody will get therapy for free. You won't have to talk to anyone who disagrees. You won't even have to use your empathy. And there'll be so much digital content to explore.